the starboard side of the ship. You begin a level brake to the left 10 seconds after you pass the bow. Very good, you are in the Marshall area. Anchor here and let's cover the landing itself. You will either be cleared to leave Marshall by control, or you will have to judge the timing yourself in order to make it for the assigned Charlie time. When departing, you should be at 250 knots indicated airspeed with a rate of descent between 4,000 to 6,000 feet per minute. You will report to center that you are commencing and give your current altimeter setting. When you get to 5,000 feet, you should reduce the rate of descent and aim to arrive at the gate at 1,200 feet. Gate is always located 12 DME on the BRC. Next step is initial, located 3 nautical miles astern at 800 feet. From there, you will enter the brake. The brake is performed flying up the starboard side of the ship. You begin a level brake to the left 10 seconds after you pass the bow of the ship. When on the downwind leg, you will descend to 600 feet and perform standard landing checks, including switching the anti-skid and external lights to off. You should be 0.8 to 1 nautical mile from mother. When arriving abeam, which is at the line of the stern of the ship, the following checks should be completed. Set nozzles to between 50 and 60 degrees, make an abeam call, and turn toward the groove. The moment of the turn depends on the wind speed. If it is greater than 20 knots, turn prior to arriving abeam. If it is between 10 and 20 knots, turn when arriving abeam. If it is less, delay the turn for 2 to 4 seconds. The turn should be an instrument type turn with 20 to 25 degrees angle of bank to arrive at the 90 at 400 to 450 feet with the AOA between 10 and 12 units. You should enter the groove at around 300 to 350 feet, being between 0.5 and 0.75 nautical miles behind the ship. Keep 3 degrees glide slope, set the nozzles to hover stop, and fly toward the offset point on the port side of the ship, about 1 plane width from the edge of the ship. When cleared to land, you will cross over to the designated landing position and perform a vertical landing. Bear in mind that the ship is moving with a constant speed. Upon touchdown, reduce the power to idle, apply the brakes, select nozzles aft, and set the water switch to off if used. Alright, if you're ready, let's do it. If you haven't done so already, make sure that your take hand is selected by pressing push button 5 on the EHSD page. Now set up the BRC using the course select knob. BRC is 351 magnetic. Very good. For the brake, you will want to be on the starboard, or right, side of the ship. Begin your brake to the left 10 seconds after you pass the bow.
altitude, 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 altitude.
On downwind, descend to 600 feet with 10 to 12 units AOA and perform landing checks.
Altitude, altitude.
When a beam set nozzles to 50 to 60 degrees, then make an instrument type 20 to 25 degree turn to the groove.
Altitude, 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 altitude. Landing gear, landing gear. Altitude, 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 altitude. Caution, caution. Bingo, bingo.
Arrive at the groove at 300 to 325 feet, nozzles to hover stop, keep a 3-degree glide slope, establish yourself one plane width from the landing spot at 120 feet. When ready and in steady hover, pass over the deck and land. When ready and in steady hover, pass over the deck and land. You are on the deck. Reduce power to idle, apply the brakes, select nozzles aft and water switch off, if used.
Caution, caution.
You are on the deck. Reduce power to idle, apply the brakes, select nozzles aft and water switch off, if used.
Caution, caution.
On the deck. Reduce power to idle, apply the brakes, select nozzles aft and water switch off. Very good. Boat landings require a lot of practice. For that, you can use shorter versions of this mission available
Caution.
under the Training tab.
Caution.